Hello my beautiful bookish friends, and welcome back to my channel. So today I am trying a new format for a video. I am doing my monthly wrap up for April in a Halloween t-shirt. Yes, thank you for asking. This is my Halloween pinup shirt that I love. I am doing this because basically books are taking over my apartment, and if I don't do my wrap-ups and start putting them back on the shelves kind of as I read them, I am going to be encompassed by books and you will have to dig me out of the rubble one day. But I'm just trying to keep up with decluttering the house and keeping it clean. So I am going to be doing my wrap-ups if this one works out and I like it when it's all said and done as I go. So I'm going to talk about the 3 books that I've already finished this month. So you will see me in this hair, makeup, and outfit for these 3 books, and then when I read more and wrap them up, you'll see me in a different look, if that all makes sense. This is just so I don't die in a pile of books and go insane and drive my husband nuts because there's books everywhere. So let's start with the first book I finished this month that, no joke, first of all, it just solidifies Carrie Maniscalco as one of my favorite authors ever. And I'm not someone who will read the same author's books a lot of the time just because I want to read through as many books from like if I could read all the books in the world, I would. However, Carrie Maniscalco is on the top. I love the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, and I am now fully obsessed with Kingdom of the Wicked. This is the Barnes & Noble edition. If you're a cover buyer, I suggest you go get this. I listened to this on audio, and honestly, that's a lie. I listened to it on audio and I read part of it physically. However, I think the audio really brought me into the story, and I would recommend it. It is on the Libby app. So, Kingdom of the Wicked is all about 2 sisters who are witches in Italy, and I don't think they establish what year it is, but it's definitely like, I think the 1800s. But it's Amelia and Vittoria, and they are witches who are supposed to be goddess blessed, but there is a lot about their heritage that they don't know and is slowly revealed, especially when Vittoria gets herself in trouble with one of the 7 deadly sins, and she makes a deal with them and ends up dead. And it is Amelia's job, like in her heart, to get revenge for her sister, avenge her sister's death, and figure out who did this to her, and seek her own kind of witchy justice. But in doing so, she gets involved with the 7 deadly sins as well, and kind of wages a war of her own with the devil in a way. But the love interest in this one is Wrath, and I am kind of obsessed with him. If you watch Lucifer, I definitely pictured Wrath as Tom Ellis, like especially the way the narrator read him and like some of his one-liners in here. I'm like, that is definitely Tom Ellis as Lucifer. So kind of love it because I'm obsessed with that show and I love him. So yes, I saw him as that. And there were a couple other actors, like if this was ever in a movie, I kind of like fan cast them in my head. If you guys ever want to know my opinions on that, let me know. Oh, that would be a fun video, like fan casting my favorite books if they were ever turned into a movie. You'd see a lot of the same people pop up for a lot of people, but it's fine. It'd be fun. So anyway, this is one of my favorite books of 2021 already, and I flew through this book. It is amazing. It's so good, and a lot of the elements I like in other books, like Amelia loves to cook, and that's in here, and I love that because I love to cook, so I just connected with her on certain things. But yeah, this book is so good. Definitely in my top 2021 favorite books so far. The next book I also listened to on audio. I did Never Have I Ever by Sarah Shepard. This is the 2nd book in the Lying Game series, and at first I really thought I was gonna hate the narrator's voice because they made it sound much younger than I picture Sutton and, yep, I can't remember the other girl's name. I always do this. Emma. Because it sounded really young, but I kind of got over that really quickly. So if you don't remember the Lying Game, basically Sutton is a twin who was adopted, and they And Emma is her twin sister who wasn't adopted. She actually stayed with their birth mother until she was put into foster care and then kind of bounced around foster homes. And Sutton had a very privileged life. She got adopted by a very wealthy family, and Emma did not. She bounced around foster care until she found out about her sister. And I don't remember, she finds out about her sister because a like snuff film of her sister getting strangled is put on the internet, and she finds out that she has a sister that she never knew about. When she goes to meet this sister, she ends up finding out that her sister's dead, and she has to pretend to be her sister because she's being threatened by the killer. And basically the whole series continues of her trying to figure out who did this to her sister. This book it picks up where the last one left off, and also left on a really, really good cliffhanger. So I really want to read the next one, but I'm like in between I'm reading 2 books right now, and I can't put a third in there. But this one basically is them investigating all of her best friends because they were involved in the film, but she doesn't know if they're the ones who actually killed her. So it's basically them investigating all their friends, and she's made friends with this other guy who's like a neighbor, but I don't really trust him all that much. But it's very Pretty Little Liars. It's by the same author, so those are the kind of like high school drama mystery that you're getting here. I forgot to mention my ratings. Ha! Of course, 5 out of 5 for Kingdom of the Wicked, and I think I gave this a 4. It's a 3 or a 4 star. I think it's a 4 star. Just because the characters developed really well in this, and the ending was super good, and the plot kept me moving. I mean, it's a short book, so not too long. Let's talk about the next book, which is also a favorite of the year. I classify my favorites by how likely I am to reread them, and how, like, if I'm done reading them, if I want to go back to the beginning and just read them all over again. You know what I mean? Like, right away. I want to with this book. I'm obsessed. I love it. It's The Inheritance Games. I know people have hyped this up. By the way, it's a 5 out of 5 star. I've hyped up this book, and it's so worth it. I'm so excited for the next book to come out. I want it like the day it releases. This is very much Knives Out. It's totally that. I agree. However, it is different in the fact that there is a love triangle, which I'm not usually a fan of, but I'm kind of okay with this one just because the way the characters are written. It involves a girl who comes from nothing suddenly coming into $46.2 billion, like, and she has no idea why, and it is revealed in this book why. This reminded me, the way the plot went through, of Truly Devious, that whole series, where we have one question answered for sure in here, you know, but there's still so many questions that aren't going to be answered in the next one. So I'm very excited for the next one. But this is all about Avery, who ends up finding out that she's inherited all this money. She has to move into this house and live there for a year with the members of the family who did not get much money out of this inheritance fund. And basically why? Like, it's all playing games that the guy who died created. So it's kind of like Knives Out, but I think it's a little bit more of an escape room aspect, because there's different puzzles to get into different parts of the house, and there's hidden passageways. It's less of a mystery. Well, it is a mystery, but it's less of a thriller. Like Knives Out, I would say, was a thriller. This is more of like a mystery game kind of thing. It's super good, and all the little trinkets on the cover play a part in the game. I love Grayson and Jameson, and no, I don't know who I want her to be with, but thank you for asking. I really liked Jameson at first, but now I think he has ill intentions. But also Grayson, I don't know. There's 4 brothers in this, and I'm kind of interested in what's gonna happen with all of them, because the youngest one, Xander, I think is kind of evil. And I got that from like right when they introduced him. But yeah, there's so many people who could be potential villains in here that it made me want to keep reading to find out if I was right about who was evil and who wasn't, and I kind of was in some parts. So yes, another 5 out of 5. So as it stands right now, it's April 10th, and I have read 3 books in full, which I think is pretty good. I'm gonna keep reading. I'm reading A Rogue of One's Own right now, and I started Pride and Prejudice on audio just because I wanted to fit a classic in here, but I want to try and finish a graphic novel today, so hopefully I will. But for now, that is it. You guys will see me right after this clip in different hair and makeup with my next wrap up. Okay, so this is April update number 2. It is the 17th, and I have not read a lot actually. I completely forgot to put in the first part one of the books that I read during the first week, so we're going to talk about that first. I read The Mistake by Elle Kennedy on my Kindle, so that is the second book in the Off-Campus series, the hockey player romance series. I gave this one a 3 out of 5, and I didn't like it as much. I felt like the third act where they come back together was kind of boring. I mean, I understood the idea of like, oh, he had to earn his way back and everything like that, and that's fine, but the relationship just seemed like way more toxic than the deal. Like that one I know was like a hate to love, or like we don't get along to love thing, but I felt like the characters had more depth, and this one was almost like a copy and paste sort of situation. And also this one I felt was like way more problematic with how the characters acted, or maybe that's not the right word, but just cringy the way they acted or things they said. And I know this book was written in like 2015, so take it for what it was kind of thing, but the romance itself didn't like make me feel anything. Like I kind of didn't care if they ended up together or not, and that's kind of the point of a romance. So I gave it a 3 out of 5. And then the last book that I've read or was reading, I DNF'd it because I try to do you all know, you hear me say it like every month, I try and do a graphic novel, a classic, and a book of the month book every month, and I tried a classic this month and I hated it. And a lot of people are going to like come for me, but I said in my anti-TBR, I said I would never read this book because it doesn't interest me. But then I saw it was available at the library and thought I should give it a go. It's a classic, why not? It's not even that long, and it's Pride and Prejudice, and I hate it. I'm sorry. I know everyone's like obsessed with Mr. Darcy and whatever, but I listened to 6 chapters and I couldn't do it. I'm like, okay, it's supposed to be funny because all the adults are like stupid and focused on like dumb societal things, and I didn't care at all. Like I felt like the first 6 chapters were all the same, and so I just didn't it did not mesh with me, so I DNF'd it, and I'm sorry. Maybe if I watch the movie I'll want to read the book, but yeah, Pride and Prejudice, not for me. And I even listened to like a thing at the beginning of the book explaining the book, and I just can't get into it. So that's where I'm at right now. As of Saturday the 17th, I am 4 books deep, 4 books completed, 1 DNF, and 1 in progress. All right, so more installments in this wrap up. It's gonna be like makeup, no makeup, makeup, no makeup, makeup, no makeup. But today, makeup. I have 2 more books that I finished for this month. I ended up finishing A Rogue of One's Own, and I gave this like, I think it ended up being a 3-star, maybe a 4. This was following Lucy from the first book, Bringing Down the Duke, and Tristan, who has just come back from the war at the time. And I don't know which war it is at the time. I mean, it's London. It's not World War I. It's before that. So, yeah, I finished it. I honestly didn't start caring about the romance until chapter 23, and I don't know if that was intentional or not. I think it was supposed to be more angsty and like hate to love than I found it to be. I didn't really find like Tristan's character super intriguing at first. The dynamic with his dad I did kind of like and wish we would have gotten more, I don't know, clarity on it, or maybe a more intense scene with his dad, because his dad kind of sucks. And there were a few scenes where I really wanted to get through them to get to the next part, but I feel like it was just too instant love, and I don't feel like it was established well enough in the beginning of the book that they had known each other since they were children. So yeah, I gave it like a 3 or a 4, I can't remember. Then I have Harley Quinn, surprise, surprise. I finished today actually, and this one basically picks up where the last one went, like left off, is Harley's parents are there. And then I'm looking because I have to remember, this one jumped around a lot, like the first issue, because these are bind-ups. If you don't know, like the volumes are all bind-ups, so the issues kind of fit with the other ones depending on like what order you read them in. So it starts with like Harley's parents being in town, and then there's the next installment of the Harley Sin kind of section, and you know, we kind of jump around a little bit. And then there's even more. I'm looking in the back, there's like flashbacks, and then there's like a Gotham Sirens kind of section, and some stuff with the Joker at the end, and Robin and Batman. So this one I gave a 3, just because some of the intrigue, it just wasn't there for me. Like I didn't care to finish certain sections. I did just because I have to read every page or else I feel like I cheated. So I read all of this and gave it a 3-star, which is probably the lowest I've ever given a Harley comic. So we just got back from dinner and I realized I forgot to mention something kind of important about the Harley book and Rogue of One's Own, is that they both have LGBTQ rep in them. A Rogue of One's Own, the rep is supposed to be like, basically Tristan's character is said to be a womanizer and potentially gay as well. So I guess, well, there's like rumors that he's gay, and then there's rumors that he's a womanizer, and then some people say he's bi. So that's alluded to in there. Now he isn't bi, but they do have a couple scenes where he interacts with someone who's gay, and that guy kind of like calls him out for like making him think that Tristan was interested in him. And there's kind of like a tense scene there, which I thought it was a very interesting look into that, and you know, how the world used to work back then if you were gay. So yeah, it was kind of used as like a plot device, and like it was basically just like for him to admit his feelings, because he can, like as a straight guy, he can say who he loves, where the gay guy could not publicly say who he loves, or like people knew he was gay, so they just like, he wasn't allowed to love freely and in public. And then the Harley comic, obviously Harley and Poison Ivy have a relationship together, and I believe they're both bisexual. So yeah, that is in there as well. All right guys, so final part of this wrap up, this is where I'm gonna cut it off. I'm not gonna finish another book before the end of April. It is the 28th right now. I did start a new one last night, but I don't think I'll finish it, just given what time I have left. So I also read A Cheese Colored Camper. This is just another one in the Geronimo Stilton series. I'm trying to get through all my books that I have of this one, and collect the whole series. So this was number 16. And that one, I just have decided to review them. I'm just going to give them a 6 across the board in compile, and it's a 3. It's just a neutral rating, because they're kids books. I don't feel like as an adult I can accurately review it for like enjoyment's sake. I mean, I like them because they're cute, they're quick, they're easy, they get me out of a slump because they give me that satisfaction of finishing a book, but they're not like, you know, how do you rate intrigue in a book like that when you're an adult, you know? So 3-star there. Then I read Steel Tide by Natalie C. Parker. This is the second book in the Seafire trilogy, and this was so good. This book is so fast-paced. It is like they describe it as a Mad Max Pirates of the Caribbean mix, and I kind of feel that's how it is. We're living in kind of like a apocalyptic world, like everyone lives on islands or in the boats on the ocean, and this is a all-girl pirate crew, but this one picks up where the last one left off, so I can't tell you too much about it. but there is a captain in charge who is he kidnaps all of his crew and gets them addicted to this drug, and so they serve him kind of like their loyalty is within their addiction. So they want the drugs. He's the only one who has the drugs, so they serve him to keep getting the drugs that he got them addicted to. But we get a lot more character development out of this one. Caledonia has some different insecurities that come up about being a leader. And yeah, it was really good. There's a lot of people who die in here. And like the first one, a bunch of people died, and this one, a bunch. Like, I think there'll be like 4 people left by the end of this book if this keeps going. But there's some great rep in here. There is like some bi rep and some, I don't know like what you would call it. Basically, it just kind of addresses the fact that pirates had homosexual relationships, even if they didn't consider themselves fully homosexual, because they were lonely on the seas. That's all they had. So there is some female-female relationships, there's some male-male relationships, and then there's some female-male relationships. So you get kind of both in here. It's just an interesting look because, I mean, historically we know that pirates did these things. They had same-sex relationships on their ships because that was their only option of having any sort of like romantic companionship. So this is super good, and I'm excited to read the third one, which is Storm Break. But that's it for my April wrap up. If you like this little patchwork one where I kind of like just go along when I finish them, let me know down below. I can do all of them like this, or if you like just one cohesive one that's maybe a little bit shorter, let me know. But that's it for now, and I'll see you guys in the next one.